Good evening, fight fans. Welcome to another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. I'm your boy Bodkins, and of course, with me, as always, is Mr. Bobby Blunts. Bobby, man, what a UFC Seattle. I guess Saturday as a whole, as far as the MMA. Absolutely fucking delivered. I mean, UFC Seattle might have been the best card of the year so far. All 6 fights on the main card finishes. Alexa Grasso, one of the best finishes you'll ever see. We told you Terrence McKinney was a fucking liar, and sure enough, he was. So, but nonetheless, it to me, the story coming out of UFC Seattle is none other than where does Israel Adesanya go from here after the loss on Saturday Night Live? Or I said Saturday Night Live on Saturday night. I told you I thought Joe Pyfer would put him down, and that's exactly what kind of what happened. Now, it wasn't a brutal knockout, but there just seemed a point where Izzy just said, "I'm just going to stand here, and we're going to engage." And he lost that fight, and he lost his 4th fight in a row. 5 out of his last 6. He looked good in the first round. I thought he looked a little thicker, like he put on some muscle, but I mean, Joe Pyfer is just super big. And I look at Izzy as like, well, where does he go from here? Like, I think we even said after the Imanov fight, like the title days are over. But it's like, well, he can't go to 205 because he's too small. I don't think he can cut down to 170. So it's just like, he is a true middleweight at 185er. And I just don't know where he goes, like who do you give him, or where he goes from here for, what I think is the second greatest middleweight of all time.
Yeah, kind of loaded question, so I'll piggyback from the beginning. Definitely, like, easily the best UFC event we've gotten. I probably like one of the coldest takes I've ever had on here. I mean, pretty obvious. The weekend in general was great for combat sports. There was a lot of good stuff on. Obviously we're going to get to UFC Seattle because that's probably what had the most eyeballs on it. And yeah, I mean, I thought it was a pretty decent fight for however long it lasted. I do agree. It was kind of bizarre seeing Izzy have so much success in the first round. Like, he was really throwing that leg kick early. You saw it was really affecting Joe. And there did seem to just be a point in the, not middle of the second round, but probably like a little bit more of a minute in, where Izzy was really having success on the feet and feeling himself. And, Piper cracked him back, and it kind of seemed like, Izzy just said, hell, I'm just going to go for it. And it's weird for me because though I'm not that's like what I'm used to seeing from Adesanya, I do kind of appreciate the thought process of, what do I really have to lose? Why don't I see if I could, get it done this way? Now, obviously, that did not work out. I mean, they were exchanging quite a bit, and then Joe took that opportunity to get him to the ground. And immediately when he had him in full mount, I kind of figured that would be it there. But absolutely, like, great comeback win from Joe Pyfer. Like, though that round 1 was very close, he got the takedown in the end. I thought it was trending to be a really long night for Joe. He went back in his corner. They were telling him, not to hesitate as much. And, whether it was Adesanya just willing to kind of die by the sword and be there. But, I mean, you could see Joe's eyes light up when he saw that he was just willing to all of a sudden engage with him. And, he got him out of there. So, all the power to him. Easily the best win of Joe Pyfer's career.
Right. I mean, and Joe was put in this big spot, and the UFC to me got what kind of maybe, I think 2 things. Like, they kind of got what they wanted. They wanted Joe to have this big win. It seems like a guy that they like a lot. It was weird because like you said, round one, other than the takedown, like I thought Izzy was working the legs. I was like, oh, this is what he's going to have to do. I said Izzy's path to victory was stay at range and attack the legs and kind of the Yoel Romero type fight. I thought to get the victory to where maybe it wouldn't be the most exciting fight, but he was going to do what he had to do to win. And he was kind of doing that in the first round, and he was eating up Joe Pyfer's legs in those calf kicks. And then it just seemed like there's something where he was just like you said, maybe he just thought like fuck it, like I have nothing to lose at this point. I don't have a title. I'm already, made money. Like I might as well just. He said he wanted to be in a fight. Well, he was in a fight. I just don't know, where do you go? Who do you match him up with? I don't want to see him anymore against. We've already saw him now twice back to back, young up and comers, and now Joe Pyfer, Imanov, and now Joe Pyfer. But like you look at the rankings, like it's just like, well, I don't know who you would match him up with, unless you just match him up with like some older vets in this middleweight division.
Yeah. I'm still kind of not there yet. I'll elaborate on that in a second. The one thing that like really stuck out to me, while in me saying like, fuck it, let's go for it, is when Pyfer had him up against the cage and he seemed to be trying to, replicate the same type of possum rope-a-dope that he did against Pereira. And,
I thought the same thing.
Yeah. And I kind of thought he would just like back out of the scenario for there when it didn't work, but no, he went at it full force there. And then even in that, first round, he landed a really clean knee on Pyfer when he had him up against the fence. So it was really looking like his fight for a decent amount. He had success in the Amanov and the Dricus fight. So like, though I do acknowledge he is slowing down a tad, and I don't want to say we're seeing a diminished form of him. I still think he beats a lot of these guys in the division if he doesn't throw out, the game plan and just try to make it a brawl. So I think there's a decent amount of people they can still match him up with, and he kind of made it clear, he does not want to leave. My stance on that is I think he's done enough work to get the grace by me that, however long he wants to keep doing it, just keep doing your thing. But I would understand if like people came away from this hoping, seeing that the best is behind him and wanting him to just retire. But I'm really not there yet at all.
I'm kind of with you because he has looked good. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like, to me, it's not like Tony Ferguson, right? Where like you're just kind of watching it, with your eye, hands over your eyes, kind of peeking through. Like, he has looked good. He looked good in this fight. I thought he looked good in the Imanov fight. I thought he was, winning rounds in the Dricus fight. So it's just like he's looked good in all these losses, other than maybe the Sean Strickland where he got, rocked in that first round, and he has to, just never could get it going in that fight. But it's just like, he's looked good in these fights. So it's just like I don't know where you go with him, and that's why I'm not ready to see him walk out the door, put the gloves down. I mean, he is now number 9, and I'm just looking at this middleweight division. You got Robert Whitaker, who is 10. He's allegedly be going to 205. Paulo Costa, who is 14. I think he's allegedly going to 205. And then you got like
he has a fight booked next week at 205.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's right. Then you got, I'm looking at like a Christian Leroy Duncan. Like, do you want to do him and Izzy? I wouldn't hate that fight, I guess, I don't think you want to do him and Roman Dolidze, but I guess maybe do like CLD. Jared Cannonier's 11. Do you do a Jared rematch? The first fight wasn't great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, Izzy has really had no problem as is fighting down and defending his ranking. So I would assume the direction they would be going next would be giving him someone that isn't ranked. Like perfect example, like Shara Bullet comes to my mind.
Ooh, yeah.
You know, something like that. I think that could be pretty entertaining. I don't know if they would do it because I know that they're close, but I would really, I'm probably the only one that would want this, but I would really dig Izzy versus Venom Page. Just like the class of styles, I think that would be a very interesting fight that I think you, even with the worry of how Venom Page has performed, I mean, that to me is still like a main event, you know?
Yeah.
But I would like kind of prefer to do something like that opposed to forcing a rematch that no one's really keen on. And at this point, with however many he has left, I only want new matchups for him. The only exception would be if there was a scenario where him and Strickland were to run it back. I'd be okay with that. But other than that, like I really don't have an appetite for Whitaker or Cannonier again. Unless it was a scenario where maybe that was his last one or something. And like Rob, you know, would be a formidable opponent. But obviously, if he's going up to 205, that's going to be a permanent thing. So I definitely think they got loads of options with him because let's just be real. He's not going to be someone that turns down a fight. Like they're going to make him an offer and he'll be like, bet, like, let's do it again. So.
Yeah, the MVP and Shara Bullet makes a lot of sense. I could see that. And do you think it's time to? I mean, he's been in. I mean, when was the last time Izzy had a 3-round fight? You know what I mean? It's damn near a decade.
It is, but like at the same time, man, like you saw that no one got a louder pop in the crowd. Like when they were doing the intros and stuff.
Yeah.
He's still just so widely popular. For it to be on a co-main event, it would have to be an insanely stacked card like that they really don't do anymore. I just really don't see, especially like with his pay and stuff. I think he's going to be in 5-rounders until the end of time.
So his last, I just looked it up just briefly. His last 3-round fight was November 3rd, 2018 against Derek Brunson at UFC 230, Cormier versus Derek Lewis.
Did you say 2013?
No, 2018.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, what? I mean, that's still quite a long time, but you know, I could see if they do the 3-round thing. I don't really think he would be opposed to it. You know, I mean, legitimately, if last Saturday's fight was a 3-round fight, he would have been more than halfway to winning.
Yeah.
You know? And essentially, like, are we really going to need these 5 rounds if he's willing to kind of just, you know, stand there and trade and lay it all out? So,
yeah,
I wouldn't be opposed to it either way. I just, I definitely think we'll see at a minimum 2 more from him, if not more. The question to me would be how quickly he would want to, you know, get back in there, because, you know, after the Amanov fight, he pretty much didn't fight for the rest of the year.
He didn't fight. It took like 13 months off.
Yeah. So, and yeah, that I think very well might have had a small thing to play in his decision to just stand there and trade because it'd been so long since he'd been in an actual fight. And then, you know, he kind of alluded to it in his, you know, post-fight interview.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, I still think there are plenty of good fights to match him up with, and legitimately still thinks he can beat a lot of guys in this division.
I agree, and I'm not saying it's time. Like I'm agreement that, you know, I just kind of wonder what they do with him, because I think it's fascinating as a kind of like a matchmaker aspect of kind of where they go from here with him. I mean, he's a legend in this game. I mean, but this is a guy who's 50 professional plus fights between MMA and kickboxing, right? So like he's been around a long time, and he ain't getting any younger. So it'll be interesting. I'm kind of with you. I think he probably has one or two more. So enjoy it while we last, because this guy was a guy who helped carry the organization through the pandemic. It felt like during that time he was fighting him. It was like him and Volkan Usman. I felt like we're fighting on every other pay-per-view,
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting where they what they do with them. On the flip side, he did have Mr. Joe Pyfer winning, and I'm not going to get into Joe's personal shit, and him finding Jesus and all that extra bullshit. But he did look good, did get the biggest one of his career. I don't know. I don't know what you could have him fight up, but the fight that I think I was watching, I think it was Morning Combat, and either Chuck or Luke said it. Rodriguez, RoboCop, him and RoboCop would be one hell of a fun fight.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be entertaining. First off, yeah, I mean, great performance by Pyfer, especially when it did look like in that first round he was freezing and just a little bit hesitant, and just really put that out of his mind, and ended up coming back with the victory. You can tell it definitely meant a lot for him, and I did like what I saw early from him. He made it a point to wrestle like 30 seconds in. He shot for a takedown and, tried to get him down. That one didn't work out. He ended up getting the takedown like right before the first round was ending. I still narrowly gave that round to Izzy. I think when we were scoring it live, you told me you thought that was enough to edge it for Pyfer.
Yeah, I thought the takedown probably edged it for him. Yeah.
Yeah, and I really wouldn't have too much pushback from that. What I saw in the that round, I immediately just thought, oh shit, this might kind of be a rough one for Joe, and he was having none of that. I mean, you could see even when he got poked in the eye, he was really limping badly. Like you could tell that calf was already compromised, and for him to still be able to get him down when Izzy came in close range, he definitely had the right fight IQ for the moment. We've seen him come up short in a main event with Hermanson. It slightly seemed to be trending that direction, and then he just completely flipped it. So I was very impressed, especially him getting the finish, knowing the time that he had in that position. Don't think he could have had a better round two after kind of the, I don't want to say questionable round one, but just assuming the fight was going to play out in 5 rounds, I was figuring, this looks like
dangerous. Yeah, it was dangerous with the calf, with him in his legs getting beat up for sure.
And for me, I understand the argument for if people are saying they'd rather see him fight down.
I'm okay if he fights up. I'm okay with if he does fight up. I was just like somebody. I think Luke said him and RoboCop, and I was like, shit, sign me up for that fight. I like it.
Yeah, the RoboCop would be fun. You're actually gonna laugh, but especially when I rewatched the fight, the matchup I came away wanting to see was Joe Pyfer versus Kyle Bahar. Now, let me explain this, because like
the ultimate Headkicks and Haymakers hate watch.
But like, this is really my reasoning behind it. So we saw Joe like have issues in the first round. And the biggest question that went in my head is kind of how would that have gone if Adesanya didn't throw everything into the wind, you know?
Right.
And knowing how Kaio game plans for his opponent and stuff, I think he's the perfect opponent to kind of get that answer out of Joe for his next fight. And I think he might be ranked one below Kaio, if I'm not mistaken.
Actually, two. Kyle's 5, Anthony Hernandez is 6, and then Joe Pyfer's 7.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it'd really be a kind of intriguing problem-solving fight, just knowing Kaio's style. And, you know, Joe is going to want to come forward. Like, he was really trying to put Izzy out with every single shot. And that was another thing that made
That's
me
what
worry.
he does, though. That's what Joe Pyfer does, I feel like. He's in there to try to knock your ass out. And he can wrestle. And, like, and I think he's a hell of a fighter. I really do.
Yeah. And I just, for me, that matchup is probably the most intriguing one that you can make to kind of really see where these guys are at. I don't hate the RoboCop suggestion at all, because just knowing the two of them, that would absolutely be some certified violence. But you know, I'm guessing if I'm Joe, he would probably want to fight up next and not down. And that's why I think Kaio is just the, you know, perfect opponent to match him up with.
Yeah, I don't hate it. The timeline fits, right? Kyle just fought recently. Joe just fought, you know, obviously on Saturday. So the timeline fits. I'm also looking like, do they do like Joe Pyfer versus like Nasruddin Imanov? Like, he's got nothing going on right now. Maybe they'll do DDP and Imanov, and then you could match him. I know Brandon Allen's got a fight booked in the next couple of weeks against an unranked guy, nonetheless. So, which is kind of wild. But I wouldn't even mind Joe and Brandon Allen.
It wouldn't shock me if the matchmaking went in that decision, hoping that you know, maybe Pyfer could get a victory over Imanov.
I could see that, right? Like, set up. Joe seems to be whatever he seems to be in favor with the UFC, and I don't think Imanov is.
Yeah, you know, personally for me, with what I saw in the fight on Saturday, that is the main reason my suggestion is Kaio. I don't want to say I think Imanov is moving a little bit too quickly, but he's far more dangerous than Kaio. But at the same time, I wouldn't necessarily think he's not ready for it if they booked it. You know, just asking me like what I would prefer, it would probably be Pyfer Kaio, but it wouldn't shock me at all. You know, you saw Brendan Allen jumped up 2 spots.
Yeah, he's 4.
I don't know if that's their way of saying thank you for taking a fight against an unranked fighter for him. Kind of weird that we live in a society where Shabazian could actually be ranked 4. You know, like, that's just wild to me. But, you know, good for him. The sport.
I mean, look at Loner Kavanaugh, though. Take the opportunities when they give them to you. You know what I mean? And make the best of them.
Exactly. And you know, it's kind of seemed to be their thing with just trying to mix stuff up. So I get it. I'm surprised we haven't seen more fluffy Pyfer suggestions.
Yeah.
That one would also be very interesting for me because, I mean, like you said, Joe knows how to wrestle. So,
right.
You know, I think that would be a pretty intriguing matchup as well. I think Luke Thomas was a little bit turned off by that one. Alluded to, I don't know if I really want to see that. I don't know. I don't think I'm really there, especially when we've seen how Fluffy's had issues like with the body and stuff. I don't think Joe would necessarily be over his head in that fight.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think that I might favor Joe in that fight. You know what I mean? but it'll be interesting because he's still young. He's still got, like I said, say what you want about his personal shit. And, I'm not a fan of his personality, but I am a fan of the fighter in the cage. And he's got a great backstory. Joe Pyfer's the most frustrating motherfucker I've ever, because I want to be a fan of him, Bobby, but I can't because he's a douchebag. That's just the best way to say it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, just appreciate the work you get in the cage.
Yes.
That's really
I gotta separate the artist from the art, right? So
yeah, exactly.
One artist absolutely crushed it on Saturday, and that was none other than Alexa Grasso. And what I mean, some people are calling the greatest female knockout of all time, finish of all time. Call it a knockout, call it a choke, but Macy Barber was dead when the fight was over, Bobby. I mean, what an incredible fight. And, this is how I think I told you this. I didn't even get to watch it live. It's late here in Central Time Zone. I've been doing shit all day. I was like, shit, I'm going to take a shower because I needed that way I can watch the main and then go to bed. And I was like, this fight will go to go all 3 rounds. I'll by the time I get out the shower, I'll be ready for it. It might be getting ready. Even the fight still might be going on. And sure enough, I walk out and they're already doing the walkouts for the main after my shower. And I'm like, the fuck did I miss? And I realized Alexa Grasso just had one of the greatest finishes of all time.
Yeah, I mean, it was wild to see in real time for sure. Another person that got great crowd pop was Grasso when she came out. Almost, I would say, as loud as Izzy. And it was shaping up to look like a very entertaining fight. Both seemed more than willing to engage on the feet. And especially on the rewatch of it, I was kind of waiting for the moment to happen because, it happened so quickly when I was watching in real time.
Yeah.
And I got actually a couple more minutes than I was expecting. Like in my mind, it happened a little sooner, but all class from Grasso when she went out and she immediately just does not celebrate, gets on her knees and waits for Macy to come too. And
kudos to Mike Beltran for kind of getting there and realizing that Macy was out.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I am no fan of Beltran, but that was absolutely some of his best work.
I wanted to make sure you acknowledged Mike Beltran.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was he legitimately saved her from more damage because she was already out with the hit. He noticed that and immediately got over to her. It's just Grasso was so quick to grab the neck. She's so used to doing it in training. And great performance by Mike Beltran. Hats off. Any slander that I've said to him was not reflective in that performance. So, great work. I mean, could you imagine if there were some of these other guys that were in there?
One of them local refs, and she's just still being choked out. And
that would. I mean, he acknowledged immediately because.
And then he let her. When he grabbed Alexa, I don't know if you noticed, but when he grabbed Alexa, he literally set her down, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
After she grabbed the leg, and then he realized oh shit.
Yeah, no, he knew to that she was gonna go out, and you really couldn't get a more perfect refereeing job. I mean, that is I guess kind of the standard I'm normally holding these guys to when you hear me bitching about it on past podcasts and stuff. But great work by Beltran, and that was pretty rough watching it because she clearly was out, and I saw a lot of people complaining that they were filming it. Personally, for me, I like that sort of stuff just for the fact that it reminds us how dangerous the sport actually is,
right?
And what these men or women do every time they get in the cage. So it was very fortunate that she woke up when she did, though, because if it was going to keep prolonging it, if it went on another 30 seconds, it might have been like, okay, like, can we show the replay again or something? What are we doing here? But
kudos, she stood up and like stood there and watched Alexa get her hand raised. Like she could have.
Man, I fucking hate. Why the fuck did they not just keep her on the stool?
Yeah.
And, I know it was probably Macy's decision wanting to stand there, obviously, as the Monster sponsorship with the can. So she gets paid for that. So I understand why she was not on the stool, obviously. But I really just wish it wasn't so instant because, that break in between wasn't very long. But Alexa Grasso reminded everyone how dangerous that she is in this division and that she's a former champion, and she's right back there in the mix. Obviously, it's a little difficult with the Valentina stuff, but
right.
There's still some pretty intriguing fights for her.
Do you maybe do, because I think if Macy had won, they probably would have done Macy versus Valentina, but I think you got to do Silva next, right? Like Natalia Silva versus Shevchenko, but you also have I think Silva's coming off a loss, I felt like, though. Oh no, she beat Rose last time out. So that was back in January. So I mean, you got Aaron Blanchfield right there. They moved Grasso up to 3, so, and you have Mignot right there, but outside of Silva, Chevy's beat them all other than Aaron Blanchfield. Silva and Blanchfield.
Yeah, for me, the fight I want for Grasso next would be and she made the call out to forgive me if I'm flubbing this. I think she said she wanted to fight in Guadalajara, but I know she wants to fight somewhere down in Mexico, bring another event down there. And the matchup I definitely want to see next would probably be her and Blanchfield, because I do assume Silva gets the title shot next, especially when you have, some fresh contenders. And Alexis knows she's going to have to get more than one. She's essentially going to have to make it a case for, to beat everyone else.
Undeniable.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Blanchfield is the name to make it undeniable.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there. Or for Fierro, who's right there as well. It's number 2.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate that either. That might legitimately be the more entertaining fight as well. So absolutely would not sneeze at that. But I think it really has to be one of the two of them, unless they're going to have her go severely down. But, with the division, I really don't think they have an opponent under there for her.
Yeah, I think you're right. Macy just needs to sit out the rest of the year. We don't need to see. She should not fight the rest of the year after that. That was scary stuff we saw.
Yeah, it was scary. And I'm sure whatever the recovery time is, she'll keep to it. I also think she is going to want to satisfy getting something back. But at the same time, she made the post pretty much saying she doesn't want to go on social media because every time she does, there's a video of her and it looks like she's dead. So it's I hope that all works out with her, especially with kind of the health concerns that set her back in the first place. It does feel like, and that's kind of like what made the whole thing wild, because when she went out like that, I mean, she's probably not even contemplating at that point, oh, there goes my winning streak and everything.
Right.
Because it just happened so instantly. So, hopefully she gets it all figured out. And, I know she'll take the right time off. I don't see her jumping back in there immediately to prove a point.
Yeah. Michael Chiesa wins his retirement fight and Nico Price's retirement fight. I feel bad for Nico Price because he was putting the gloves down too, and nobody wanted to interview his ass. Instead, they wrote out the whole fucking video package for Michael Chiesa. I felt like multiple times. But that is what it is. Good for Michael Chiesa. And Bobby, this featherweight division continues to add, names. Larry and Douglas, man, he looked absolutely, what is it, the gunslinger? I mean, that's another guy to watch in this crazy ass featherweight division.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be a problem. You saw the power on display, and really glad they had him on the main card too. Like, good choice.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a problem. The Usori Bulgari kind of wins the kind of the up and comer of the middleweights between him and Mansour Abdul Malik. That was another. I mean, they probably should have stopped that in the first round. I felt like.
I don't think he should have went back out there in the third. Especially
the third. Was it the third or the second? Yeah, you're right. I think it was the third.
Yeah, because Nixon put him on the stool and he literally said, like, "Are you here with me?"
Yeah,
that was the first thing he said. Yeah, man, like, that guy's dangerous. Glover continues to just maximize these guys' potential. Like, obviously he has the base in kickboxing, but giving them just enough to be able to use their weapons. And so much of his movement and stuff just reminded me of Pereira. So, like, yeah, he's absolutely gonna be a problem. And I absolutely agree with you. I don't think he should have went back out there. But again, when you're on this show win model, I can't really hold it against these guys. But yeah, I definitely think that could have been stopped in the second.
I agree. They probably should have called it, and I thought they were going to. What did you make of the Ignacio and Jimenez fight versus Masquev? I mean, that was an interesting fight. Masquev gets the unanimous decision. It was an absolute bloodbath.
Yeah, fuck that guy. Literally the most blatant fucking cheating I have ever seen.
Some severe fence grabs.
The fence grab that literally changed the outcome of the fight. And then another one, he when he was doing the takedown, he headbutted him.
Yeah.
And it I'm not sure if like that's what caught the cut or what, but multiple points should have been taken. I hope they give him the worst matchup possible and he gets the shit beat out of him. Well, like, yeah, no, that like, to me, really you could make an argument to just make it a no contest or disqualify him. I know appeals go nowhere in MMA, but this is one that is worth pursuing to anyone that has half a brain.
Yeah, it was pretty blatant. Some blatant fouls that they didn't call. Chase Hooper gets knocked out again. He's been knocked out twice, 2 times in a row. How about the
great showing by Gibson though, like, to get that done, because the betting line did acknowledge that he was coming in to lose, and he's made nothing of the sort.
How about the heavyweight fight? Bruce said Marcin Tybura and realized, oh shit, he made a mistake, and it was Terrell Fortune wins that one by unanimous decision. He wasn't even in the cage; they had to go bring him back in.
Yeah, that was the most bizarre thing ever, because watching it live, I thought it was clear that it was a 30-27 for Fortune. And then they read it, and I was like, good God, that is just awful judging. And then, like, I didn't even have the sound on because I was in the space. But then I see that because everyone's like saying like, what the fuck kind of decision is that?
Yeah, yeah.
And then I see them walking him back, and I'm like, oh shit, they are literally, they read the scorecards backwards, and they're gonna make him the winner. And it was literally the only reason we're talking about this fight, because of that comical ending. Like
Bruce cares about heavyweights. You want to make sure that everybody still talks about him.
Hey, I got plenty of heavyweight talk for you later for Moses for the boxing fight. So we'll talk about a young, fast, up-and-coming prospect that, you know, the complete opposite of what the heavyweight division is.
And then the Yanez and Ricky Simone fight ended in a draw. It was kind of, I thought, you know, such a back and forth fight as well.
Yeah, in real time, I had it for Yanez.
Same.
I gave him the 10-8 in the third there. But when I saw the scorecards at the same time, I completely understand how they got to that scenario. I just personally had it 1-1 going into the third, where I think two of the judges had both of those rounds for Ricky.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a very violent, bloody fight. And that definitely lived up to, like, what was that, the second fight? That really got the pace of the card going. Like, okay, this one is just going to be enjoyed. Like, these are the type of cards that we kind of expect.
That's why you love MMA. It's why it's the cards that you watch and you're like, this is why I love this shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then we got to, I want to move to the PFL real quick. I mean, Johnny Eblen absolutely destroys, this kind of steamrolls Brian Battle and absolutely, you know, just demolishes him. It seems like, to me, that's the fight to make, is, you know, get Johnny Eblen get his rematch, and let's move it. But another PFL news, you know, John Martin was kind of talking about they could be rebranding and going back to the Bellator name. Bobby, I'm not a fan of Bellator, the name. I don't understand what's wrong with the PFL. Like, just go by that, the Professional Fighters League. I understand, like, you know, they're not really doing the tournament. They don't no longer doing the tournament stuff, and they're doing, you know, things the right way now. I don't really know if you need a rebrand, and I definitely don't think you need to rename it Bellator.
Yeah, I'll touch on the Martin stuff second. The event itself, I think, was a success. Very entertaining. The fights definitely delivered, especially the co-main and the main. You know, you got two pretty electric finishes there. And there was some really good action throughout the night. It seemed to fill up pretty decently. You know, they're obviously fulfilling the ESPN slot that they're being asked to do. And I'll touch back on that with the rebrand talk. But yeah, Eblen just fought like he was pissed off, like almost like he was insulted to be matched up with Brian Battle. Like, yeah, he should, you know, in his mind, he probably thinks that he should have just gotten the rematch. I do agree with him, but at the same time, with the new model they're going with, no tournament, I kind of get why they're trying to, you know, build hype, because essentially, you know, him steamrolling Battle, taking him down 9 times, and just, you know, Battle had 0 control time or anything going in that fight. It was pretty
one side.
Yeah, it just reminded, like, how good Johnny Eblen really is. I think a lot of people forgot that he was essentially winning that entire fight, give or take. And, you know, in the last, like, 30 seconds, pretty much gassed and got submitted. So I'm definitely really sold for that fight. I hope they do it in the States, because I think it's, you know, normally we ask for these to be internationally, but I think it will do well there. Unless they're like considering going directly back to Madrid. But for me, it'd be a lot more enticing to kind of keep trying to, just build up your fan base here. That's what they need to do.
Yeah,
And,
agreed.
and then the John Martin rebranding stuff, I don't think it makes a difference either way. If I'm to paint a picture for why they might be considering, I don't think they're going to go with the Bellator name, but about the only reason I could see them doing that is they are coming up to a new TV deal, and maybe they just find it more lucrative to that deal to have the Bellator name, which people are far more familiar making TV deals with and stuff. But I think if they actually do it, it might be something completely, new. And
Yeah, if you're gonna rebrand your name, then just rebrand it to something completely new.
Yeah, and I agree. I don't find it being too necessary. I don't think it will pull any more like hype into the product, but they're doing good with putting on these shows, like trying to do them a lot more consistently and stuff. So, John Martin mentioned bringing Dakota Dichova and Usman to the States. I think that's a very smart move.
Yep.
Just because they've always traditionally fought in either Abu Dhabi or just somewhere over there. So that's really how you are going to build more of a following, is bringing them here where, there's a pretty decent market for MMA and stuff, and doing them in actual, arenas or stadiums, and not these like studio shows and stuff.
Yeah, I'm in 100% agreement with you there. I don't really feel like, again, they need to change to the back to the Bellator name. I think stick with the PFL. What's working right now? Bring your stars. Do these arenas. Go to places like Pittsburgh. Go to places that the UFC doesn't really attend.
So here's one food for thought for why they might want to change their name. If you were to ask a casual, tell me one thing about the PFL today, what do you think their answer would be?
Oh, they got a tournament?
No.
Probably.
I think the biggest thing that most people associate them with who don't watch the PFL know them for signing Francis and doing absolutely nothing with it.
Yeah. Francis and Jake Paul, I guess, right? Yeah, that's probably true.
But at the same time, I don't think that's anything that would, warrant them actually needing to change their name. But, maybe, I don't know, bringing in different investors and stuff. Mm-hmm. There could be a lot of different things behind it. But the one thing that I find weird about the rebrand is rebrands definitely cost money, and I do think that money could absolutely be spent better somewhere else. I mean, unless they think it's essential to getting a much better TV deal, I just don't understand why they would do it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Bobby. From the great Seattle card and Pittsburgh card, we have some fights this Saturday at none other than the glorious Meta Apex, baby. And it is headlined. This is the definition of Apex Fight Night. Headlined by none other than Hento Moicano, Money Moicano, and Chris Duncan. And then you have the co-main Virna Jabarona versus Tabitha Ritchie, and a bunch of slop underneath it.
Yeah, I mean, it might not have the household names. Definitely, why you're calling it slop. But I do think there is some meat on the bone for some intriguing fights on there. I mean, you got O'Malley's boy on the main card. Granted, you could ask why he's on the card that high. That might kind of allude to your point. But
You got Ethan Ewing, who remember he beat Michael Wellmaker a couple back in November.
That's probably the fight I'm kind of circled and interested what's going to happen with that one. See if he could have another performance like that. So I definitely think like all of these ones that we look at, we go, this will outperform the expectations just because, you know, they're so low and
right.
Essentially for you on the floor.
Yeah. I mean, it is the floor. What do you make of this main event? Money Moicano coming off, 2 losses. He had the loss to, the 24-hour fight against Islam. Before that was on a nice 3-fight winning streak, though. He is 39 years old. 36 years old is Moicano. And coming off the loss to Beneil. And here comes, the surging Chris Duncan, 15-2. Duncan is an absolute dog, the Scotsman. He is on a 4-fight winning streak. His last win was against Terrence McKinney. So quite the jump here for Chris Duncan.
Yeah, I mean, Duncan is always in very exciting fights. I mean, essentially every fight he's in has been a fight of a night or fight of the night worthy. Extremely violent. And, this was supposed to be Brian Ortega versus Moicano. And
that's right. Yeah.
I got to tell you, like, if that was the actual fight, I'd probably be right there with you with the slop comments. I do think this is a much more intriguing fight style-wise. I know they both train together at ATT, but, that gym is so huge. Who knows how much they work together. But
Duncan said that Moicano used to give the best of him, was honest about it when they trained at AT&T.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's, Duncan's last performance, but I know he is favored there. I think it's just really going to come down to, in a lot of these fights, he's having success and getting into a war, and he'll see, a time to jump the gilly, like, Poirier and stuff. And I think he has to completely put that out of his mind with Moicano. I mean, his best choice is to, definitely just do his best to keep the striking. But at the same time, it's why I'm excited for it, because I know he's good everywhere. So it will be kind of entertaining where
it's almost really a pick 'em, though. The odds, Moicano here's plus 145 and Duncan's minus 175.
Okay, so the price came down a little bit from when I essentially looked it up. Like when I saw it, he was like minus 180, which essentially is.
I think money's gone. I think money has gone in on Moicano because he's more of the known fighter, right? Like a lot of people not 100% sure who Duncan is quite yet, and this is his biggest stage, biggest fight up to date.
Yeah, everyone's probably, betting all their Bitcoin on him. So I definitely see why, they're going his way. And I definitely think it's a extremely winnable fight for both guys. I really don't know what we're going to get here. Like if you told me that Moicano was able to, weather through the storm and end up still getting the decision or submitting him, that wouldn't really shock me at all.
Yeah. I mean, Moicano has won some fights, like, the BSD fight, and that fight has aged perfectly for him, like he has won some tough fights and like some surprising fights.
Yeah, no, he's and like you alluded to, it is for sure a step up for Duncan as well. Even though that he's favored, and Duncan hasn't been in a 5-round fight, obviously, right?
No,
at least in the UFC.
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting. Then again, at the same time, even Moicano has been in a 5-round fight. He's never necessarily needed it. So I don't think that could go one direction heavy either way. But I don't know. I do think Moyakano does have everything he needs to win, but I do for some reason feel like Chris Duncan can actually get this done.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm gonna go Duncan on this one.
Good.
Yeah, we're in agreement. Yeah. I do think the co-main's got some stipulations. You know, Verna's somebody who's fought for the title just recently. The last fight was for the title, the interim, you know, at strawweight. So for Richie to come in there, to try to take her spot and kind of put herself in this, title contention.
Yeah, no, I love that matchup for Richie just to kind of see, that's a very good opponent. So the matchmaking for that one should be fairly entertaining in my mind. And there really isn't much to put it ahead of it for the co-main. So I can definitely see why it's there. And I mean, it would be interesting to see if Richie gets the win, what they would want to do with her next. You know, I know they're big fans of her, but it's definitely some implications. You know, if you're asking me, would I have preferred a week off to like get hyped for Miami? I think that could have worked just as good, but
right.
I do think this is a good enough card to at least tune in and watch live.
Yeah. I might tune it on after the basketball. You know, I've been all in on the March Madness, but so we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Saturday was I literally, it was probably like 12 hours straight of combat. Like started with the Magnificent 7, the boxing Queenberry, and there were 7 really good. Every fight was actually very good. And Moses Atama, that is the one heavyweight I will always talk about on this show. He looked fast, got a guy out of there with a highlight uppercut knockout who's never been finished. So definitely someone I think worth watching. And we do have Wilder Cesaro this weekend. And I do think you could like give the winner of that fight Moses. I think that'd be an intriguing thing. So a little bit of thing to watch outside of MMA there. And the BKFC had Parker Porter too, and their events always deliver brutal knockouts, but it was a long 12 hours. So I would not have, if we had a week off for the Apex, I would have been totally cool with it. But at the same time, we got 2 fights this weekend, so it should be just enough to, settle the urge until we get into Miami.
Right. Parker Porter win. I didn't watch the BKFC.
Yeah, he did win. It was by a doctor stoppage. He was getting some damage put on him early in the first, so it is kind of interesting to think where it could have gone. But I think part of the reason he excels in it so well is just how tough he is. So there was one knockout on there in the early. Brutal dude, literally after getting up from the 10 count, like the fight should have just been waved off there, like if you want to talk about some questionable officiating. But at the same time, it's kind of why we love BKFC. But when this dude got put out, it was limp corpse going up against the rope. It was way more eerie than the Macy Barber finish. I'll tell you that. And but dude got up, but definitely a decent card. That was the one that I watched like half of that live and then half of it not live. So that is the best thing to rewatch, because like you can rewatch it all in essentially like 30 minutes if you just skip through to all the fights, because it's all nonstop action. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of curious what we're gonna see in this Wilder fight. I kind of rolled my eyes out when they made it, so that'll be on before the Apex. So as far as I'm concerned, we still got some pretty decent combat on Saturday. We'll get fed one way or another.
Yeah, I mean Wilder's saying some outlandish shit. Did you catch that?
You know I caught, bro. That is
that's how my kids were conceived too, Bobby.
Well, especially like when I see a Piers Morgan clip, I always like am getting something the opposite. You know, it's always like some insane like war propaganda or something.
Oh,
so when I see that and I click on that, you have no idea what you're getting. And yeah, nothing can prepare you for that moment. And not only that, DAZN is wise enough, especially on April Fool's Day, to market that shit. Like they actually used it in a poster. So well done. But yeah, that was a you know, I don't know why Helwani can't get that type of information out of these guys. Like Piers Morgan, man, he knows how to just make these guys feel so comfortable to say the most outlandish shit.
Yeah. Oh shit. That's pretty much it, I guess, Bobby. I mean, you know, Nate Diaz did say like, hey, yeah, the UFC kind of asked him to you know, come out and fight Conor. He said he didn't want to be anybody's comeback fight or didn't want, you know, fight. He wants to fight the best of the best, but then he's going to fight Mike Perry. So that didn't really make much sense. I guess he told the UFC he wanted to fight Charles Oliveira and they weren't going to do that. So that's interesting. Then, you know, him and DC have had a few words back and forth. So maybe we'll get DC versus Nate Diaz, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
on the next card.
Yeah, the DC Nate stuff, I don't even care. I kind of just ignored all that. The stuff he was saying about going with Netflix and stuff, I kind of understood the pothead thinking process of essentially, I didn't take it as he was saying he wanted to fight the best versus the best. He just wanted to fight someone that was doing something. And, you know, Mike Perry has kind of been on the run in BKFC. But
I think Darren Till's a little salty about that. Did you see that?
What?
Darren Till's tweet. Did you see that?
Whose tweet?
Darren Till.
Oh, I don't give a fucking shit with Darren. I mean, Till is another one of them. Like, you know, all I saw there was absolute jealousy that he was not.
That's what I saw. That's what I said. I said, oh shit, he's mad because he probably thought him and Mike Perry could have got on that Netflix card because they've been going back and forth for years, right? And well, then here comes Nate Diaz.
Yeah,
Nate's the bigger name than Darren Till.
And that's one thing that Till will never acknowledge. But, you know, however active he is or not, he still kind of does garner that attention. So I've always kind of maintained, I thought the reason he went with the Netflix over the UFC is because the UFC was not willing to offer him a one-fight deal. It would have been under a scenario where it would have been multiple fights, where Nate just like probably wanted to do the one and then have some freedom somewhere else. So he maintained his freedom. Probably I don't want to say shocking, but Dana seems very open to still working with him in the future. But, you know, there are few people he pretends to play nice with, and Nate definitely still seems to be one of them.
Right. Agreed. I think he knows Nate can still make money. They know that Conor Nate 3 can still make a shit ton of money even a decade later. So that's why.
Yeah, no, it's not out of the goodness of his heart. That's for sure.
Yeah. You know what, Bobby? We're going to shut up and just watch the fucking fights on Saturday. So,
God.
You know, other than that.
No, since you brought it up, that is the comedy of he like finished the answer and then went back to it. Is like, oh no, you want to click here? You know, shut up and watch the fucking fights. But it's really not new to me. Or like, I love seeing outside perspective people being like, Could you imagine if this was the NFL talking to their customers like this? It's like, do you know what sport you're watching? Like, it's
right.
What are we going to do? And yeah, essentially the reason he says that is because at the end of the day, he knows even if we bitch on Twitter, at the end of the day, we will just shut the fuck up and watch the fight. So hard to really blame him, even though I don't agree.
Well, we're going to shut the fuck up for a week, and we'll watch the fight Saturday. We'll be back next week on next Wednesday, 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern. We'll cover the UFC. What is it? 300 and
I'm just
whatever
calling it
it
Miami.
Is. The UFC Miami. 327.
327.
Headlined by none other than Yuri Prochazka versus Carlos Olberg on the card for the vacant light heavyweight title. Plus, you have Joshua Van versus Tatsuro Taira on that card. Plus, Curtis Blades versus Josh Hockett. Plus, Dominic Reyes versus Johnny Walker. Plus, Azmat Murzakov versus Paulo Costa. Plus, the Bellator featherweight title, Patricio Pitbull versus Aaron Pico. Then you have the retirement of Cub Swanson versus Nate the Train Landmeyer. You have Gamrot versus.
That's a great retirement fight, by the way.
Oh yeah. That's gonna be a banger.
Yeah.
Nate the Train is one of my favorite fighters. He's always in fun fights. That's why.
Yeah.
Kevin Holland versus Randy Brown. I feel like they've already fought, but they're fighting again. Gamrot versus Esteban Rivavic is man. This card is stacked, Bobby. Tatiana Suarez versus Lupe Godinez. That's the second fight on the card. And the curtain jerkers, Kevin Gastelum versus Vincent Luque. Loser wins. Loser leaves town match.
You definitely see the effort they put into this one for sure.
Miami always crushes, though. They always bring a good card to Miami.
Yeah, they've kind of always gave back to them ever since, they're the first ones to open back up the live events. So, they will kind of always go back there. And the crowds are always great. It's in the Kaseya Center. So, should be a good time. And then also, I don't know if it's the day after or the night of, but there's also a Rising card that same weekend. So next weekend, we got some guaranteed violence on deck.
Hell yeah. All right, folks, we'll be back next week, 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern. For my guy, Bobby Blunt, I'm Bodkins. This has been another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. We'll see you next week, folks. Be a friend, tell a friend, like, subscribe, share. See you then. Shut up and watch the fucking fights.
Thanks so much for joining us, and until next time, let's talk sport, friends. Thanks for watching.